Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What's going on, you guys? A Tuesday on the watch list. You guys could have figured by now I'd come in on this particular news of the day. Tuesday morning here. We've got a full-on Democratic ticket now that's completely flipped. You know, we started the whole thing with President Biden and Kamala Harris, and we got Harris and Tim Walz as her running mate. She's chosen her running mate as of this morning. There's a lot of people that are wondering, who the hell is Tim Walz? That, of course, is being asked from folks who weren't paying close attention to the deep stakes breakdown that was going on. We saw Buttigieg getting on the airwaves. We saw Josh Shapiro, governor up there in Pennsylvania, getting on the airwaves, making their points, going on Fox News, specifically with Buttigieg doing it. Tim Walz was doing the same, and he then got selected. Let's go to some of this breaking news to see the way folks were talking about it as they jumped in. Let's see real quick what MSNBC was saying. This was the guys over on Morning Joe. They seemed the most excited about it, so I went with their clips. Let's go.
Including the eight breaking news, Kamala Harris picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as running mate as she looks to boost the Democratic ticket in the Midwest.
For our viewers,
I was going to say, to Ed's point, he sounds like, you know, a football coach talking about very progressive issues. He brings to the table a background that is very down to earth and connected with people and their daily lives as a former teacher.
You know, it's an interesting pick. I think ironically enough, people have looked at him as the safe pick. I would disagree. This opens up a number of issues. For the Democratic ticket to now defend. But this is, it looks like, according to the Associated Press, and we're still waiting at NBC News to confirm it, but the Associated Press and other news organizations have in fact said it's Walz. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good pick, to be honest. I mean, I think Shapiro would have been as well, but you know, he talks in a way that isn't perceived by Republicans or non-Democrats in general to be looking down on them. He talks in a very engaging, everyday manner, a very practical sense.
So they're going with this process, their guest there and also Morning Joe. There's a couple of the folks that were talking about Tim Walz, and since he's from Minnesota, it's a Midwestern state. People would see it maybe as either purple or even red state, but it's blue because of the work that they've done. And Tim Walz speaking directly to folks. Just a few seconds ago, you guys heard Joe Scarborough there talking about the potential attacks that this opens up to Harris and Walz's ticket here because he's just so damn progressive. I want to get to some of those things that he's just so damn progressive about in a second, but really fast. I saw Jason Tkacz, T-K-A-C-S, saying Walz is a better choice, and here's my opinion why. I like opinions why. Let's see what you have to say. Republicans make it as an attack on Christians, and choosing someone of the non-Christian faith could be used as an attack by the Republicans. I'm not sure it's faith. What is it? Because maybe I read that wrong, but is Walz not a Christian or just doesn't talk about it at all because we kind of shouldn't care about what someone is, but of course in America we do. So I guess people are happy about this choice. There were folks from Pennsylvania earlier when people were thinking maybe it was potentially going to be Josh Shapiro. They were very happy about it, excited about the possibilities. They saw him speaking at those events and had the energy and vigor, and it didn't happen. But I wonder what those folks, as far as the disappointment, they feel now when it comes to Tim Walz. I saw some appearances that he was having in the build-up to this whole thing. You knew the folks that were were putting themselves out there to be selected. He was definitely one of them. He was speaking direct. He was speaking clear, and he wasn't over the top angry, but he was definitely calling out how frustrating it is that this country is following behind someone like Donald Trump and just pointing out the direct problems with him. It's really all we need. Just highlight what's wrong with the guy. The insults can come with it because we know what he's throw back their way. We've seen it for the past, couple of weeks now, ever since Harris jumped in the race and replacing Biden. What the Republicans are bringing, you have to bring something that's so direct and clean and clear that it's someone that you want to see help lead the country and not just be in a dogfight every day because how much they hate someone else. I think it's going to give enough of a clear choice. Some folks were concerned about Josh Shapiro's, maybe it was talking about the fact that it's Christianity versus a Jewish candidate, maybe in being Josh Shapiro. That was always on it as well. We'll see. Let's see what else is happening, guys. I'm going to go to another bit. Did talk about why it was maybe a problem that it would be Walz. Oh, so no, this is the reasons why she chose it. This is the reporter over on MSNBC, and they talked about why.
Well, what I'm hearing is that Vice President Kamala Harris found in Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, someone that she feels chemistry with, someone who she feels will be loyal to her, and someone who she feels will help her elevate the ticket even more than it already is to bring in voters that may be a little worried about whether or not they were going to back Democrats this cycle. I just got off the phone with Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and he told me that he thought this was a brilliant choice. He was talking to me about who Tim Walz is in Minnesota, and the first point he made was, while Minnesota might be a blue state, they're a blue state because these Midwestern Democrats work at it every single year, and they figured out how to talk to people in a way that's plain, direct, and in a way that also helps them understand that the Democratic Party, in his view, really is about bettering their lives. And he talked about specifically the George Floyd case. We're going to hear a lot about Tim Walz's background, but he said there would be no George Floyd prosecution. That officer would not be in prison if the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, who is now, of course, the running mate to Vice President Harris, if he had not appointed the attorney general, taking it out of the hands of the county prosecutor and say, we're going to elevate this case. We're going to make sure that this person gets the justice that we believe they deserve. He also talked to me about a number of other things that the governor has done, including universal lunch across the state. He talked about the fact that he's really talked to people in rural counties and in urban counties and brought in people across the state to really understand that they can unify the party. So he was saying to me that this is someone who also can communicate very directly. We were talking about the idea that Tim Walz was the one who called the Republicans weird. In one word, he gave the Harris campaign a sort of slogan that they've been using over and over again. And it in some ways previewed how, this is the Attorney General Keith Ellison telling me, how he can really, Tim Walz, really sum up things and go after people and be and really attack Republicans, but doesn't have to say it very long. Doesn't have to have sort of long, so it's weird.
So the other part about this, Joe Scarborough said it's going to open up some attack lines because of who he is. Some of those things that who he is apparently is way too progressive. You talk about, they mentioned the universal lunch there. And then some of those other policies apparently are way too progressive. I saw a list here, and I want to see some of the things that they were saying they were concerned with. This is how the Trump campaign plans to define Walz. By the way, I saw your comment down here, someone in there. It's Walz. Apologies, I think I called him Waltz. Walz, no T. This is the way the Trump campaign is apparently planning on attacking Tim Walz. Think about it. This is Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and think about the past few weeks and the way that they've gone about there. This is the way they're going to go next. This is crazy. Trump's advisor said that they'll pull on details ranging from both his years in Congress as well as governor, and their goal is to paint him as someone who has been in lockstep with progressives over the last 4 years and a key champion of the Biden administration's policies. Many of those policies that the Biden administration, even when he was running, was selling as things that are actually happening to help the country. As slow-moving as Joe Biden has been, as much as he's been not able to relay his points of view and what he's done, the proof is in what has been happening through economy, through jobs, and all those types of things throughout his presidency and getting things done, infrastructure packages, stuff that Trump wasn't able to do. But still, they want to talk about how he's in lockstep with the things that have been working. This should be something they could take off with. Now, some of those things are how they're trying to, as I think in that one report was pointing how he was a part of making sure that the police officer who killed George Floyd was going to go down. I guess they'll run on that. I mean, so far, this MAGA party has been pushing so far into the depths of the right that wouldn't be surprising. It's something that they would go for and think that it's a winning message. This is what they said. This is the quote from the campaign. She found a 60-year-old white guy who has the same crazy ideas that she does. With both Harris and Walz, you're going to have multiple years of various records to go through. But the bottom line is, where has he been for the last 4 years? The last 4 years are what mattered most. There was something from 2023 of what he did, and I think that's within the last 4 years. And it's very helpful to Americans who actually want their government to work for them. You know, that government that we pay all those taxes for? And finally, people are beginning to want something back for it and not feel like it's a handout, which again is the way Republicans have always pushed this whole thing. So the way he's trying to get the government to work for folks is the way that they're going to attack him on. And you got J.D. Vance being the guy as the vice president's candidate for the Republicans that's got to run against Walz, who's already called out J.D. Vance as a fake guy. as someone who's not who he really is. And as more people dig into who JD Vance really is based off of what he's portraying that no one really likes anyway, it's going to get worse. That's just my prediction. It's my thought process. One more part, because there was just to show you guys the way that the establishment levels of both parties go about things. Nancy Pelosi was also on Morning Joe this morning, and they had her immediate reaction to it. Now, I wanted to read what the Trump campaign was saying so you could hear the way that Nancy Pelosi seems to me, from what I heard from the one time I'm listening through this, seems to already be on the defensive based off of that horrible approach to how they're going to go after Tim Walz. So let's go to Nancy Pelosi. And by the way, you guys, I know things slow down when I run another video, so I see you guys talking about my dial-up internet. By the way, disclaimer. Yes, I did move. I'm in a different studio now. I've got the highest, quickest internet that they offer in this area. It's all I can do, bro. It's all I can do. Yeah, I'm frustrated by it too. But bear with me here as we go to Nancy Pelosi and what is her reaction to it. And keep in mind what the Trump campaign is trying to paint him as and how she goes about this.
Walz is wonderful. And she had many good choices among the 6 and certainly among the 2. I'm a big fan of Governor Shapiro. Tim Walz, I know very well. He served in the House. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the president. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat. And he was the chair of our Veterans Affairs Committee. And I don't want anybody to forget that, because he made tremendous gains for our veterans, working with our folks on the Appropriations Committee and with the Speaker. We made more progress than had ever been made in the history of our country since the GI Bill under his leadership. 25 years in the National Guard, longest serving non-commissioned officer ever served in the Congress of the United States. So he brings the security credential, he brings the rural credential, and he will do well in moral America. And I heard Joe say, well, Biden did better. Well, Biden was running against Donald Trump. Joe Biden, Tim Walz was running against somebody who had more credentials in rural America, but he still won. So I really, it's mystifying to me to see someone that I worked with, shall we say, right down the middle, characterized on the left in this regard. He has her confidence, obviously. That was the decision that the president, not our presidential nominee, soon to be president of the United States, has made. I respect the decision, and I respect all the rest. Look at the bench, Josh Shapiro.
So then she goes on to talk about Josh Shapiro, and look at the bench we got. I don't know. I feel like if I was in politics, I wouldn't want to be called on the bench. It seems a weird term. I guess in sports, since I was an athlete, that was always the thing. Are you on the bench? You sit on the bench. Anyways, so as you see her approaches, he is not left. He's not left. I promise you, he's not left. Oh my God. Like, he's only got progressive policies that the vast majority of the country actually wants. And the people who are actually opposed to it actually do want it. They've just been brainwashed to think that they don't deserve what they pay for. So as long as you give people what it is that they deserve, not you get this handout. This is what you effing paid for. Republicans should want what they paid for in taxes. So you're not going to get away with not paying taxes. If you do, I guess, your name is Donald Trump. But outside of that guy who skirts his way around all rules and regulations, if you actually want something for what you pay for, you probably want to go with a candidate who's going to represent you. And again, this is the vice president running mate. I do think it gives a little bit of a signal to the issues that progressives and many people, since we're worried about the left, had with Josh Shapiro. Keep it real. He's pretty hardcore on the situation in Gaza, where that genocide is taking place. He was specifically against the protests that were happening at some of those colleges. As some people were getting upset about that and pointing out the problems with him, it seemed we see some hints from Kamala Harris from her roundabout way with meeting with Netanyahu, but not going to his address to Congress as if he's a sitting president or something, to then her saying she's going to continue this conflict or continue to fuel it. There's some indications that there's enough people that can lean on them and tell them where the vast majority of the American people would like our money to go. Back to tax dollars. What if I don't want our money going to murdering tons of innocent people because we're supporting this Madman Netanyahu. It's a completely other side note. But it seems this is more of a left-leaning ticket, but people like Nancy Pelosi just don't want to say so. Jeez, it's okay, bro. And I get from her point of view, she's like, what, 80 years old? I get it. You come from a different generation of politics. I think, and I hope my read is right, things are changing. There's an excitement around a different approach to politics. Yes, they're still fake to a degree. No, we don't completely know who all these politicians are. But I can tell you this, they're not venture capitalists that are acting like then they're this hokey MAGA guy who once hated Donald Trump, like J.D. Vance is, in case you guys don't know who I'm talking about. So with this running mate, as long as it wasn't a disaster, I think I heard Karl Rove say before, Kamala Harris can continue her momentum that's going after Donald Trump. If they want to push this 60-year-old white guy line days after Trump just pushed this, how dare this black woman who's not really black, but then I thought she was Indian, and then one day she changed her color. Whatever rant he decided to go on there, if they want to go on the white guy rant, cool. Okay. Go for it, bro. You already alienated as many minorities as possible. See if you can get some white folks that actually understand what diversity is useful for. See if you can alienate them too. Maybe they'll go that direction. Are there any Josh Shapiro folks out there that are upset about this? I'm just curious because I haven't seen any yet. Actually, Josh Shapiro himself, I'm reading a bit of his message. He had a full statement. It was quite long. I'm not going to go through all of it. But as we saw, I feel like the finalists were Buttigieg, Shapiro, and Walz. And maybe even the final two seem to be Walz and Shapiro. Here's part of what Shapiro said. Because obviously, I mean, it makes sense. Anybody who thinks they're going to potentially get this spot will be disappointed. But they can't show that. Let's read what he had to say. This is Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. My life in public service has always been motivated by my family and faith. Since I first ran for Senate, or for the state representative 20 years ago, I've been called to serve because I want to leave our community, our Commonwealth, and our country better off for our children. This part is normal political talk. Nearly 2 weeks ago, VP Harris asked me to work with her team to complete the vetting process to be considered as a running mate. And following those conversations on Sunday, I was grateful to have the opportunity to speak with her directly about our vision for the role. Yes, yes, yes. I served as 40th governor of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, highest honor in my life. Okay, here it is. Jesus, man. These guys, that was 4 different paragraphs. They don't have to go through all this. We get it. You worked well. You're governor of Pennsylvania. She asked you to come on. I get it. Vice President Kamala Harris has my enthusiastic support. And I know that Governor Tim Walz is an exceptionally strong addition to the ticket who will help Kamala move our country forward. Lori and I consider Tim and Gwen to be good friends of ours, and we're excited for them and for the country to get to know the great people we know them to be. Over the next 92 days, I look forward to traveling across the Commonwealth to unite Pennsylvanians behind Harris's campaign to defeat Trump, become the 47th president, all that good stuff. I think there's a rally either tonight or tomorrow or some point this week in Pennsylvania. I believe I saw a quick blurb on. So also Josh Shapiro will, of course, still be there, is what that particular article said, which made me think, yo, what, is he going to back out now? Yo, I'm not the VP pick, so I'm not going to be at the rally. That'd be disastrous for his career. So he'll still be there. I guess he'll still have the cadence of Obama, which I mentioned in one of our videos, and continue to be a big part of the campaign. And if she happens to win, if Harris and Walz happen to win in November, this is when the vice presidential possibilities, when they don't get selected, whoever's left over, then they're vying for positions as in the cabinet position. So that'll come up next. And they don't all take it, by the way. This guy's the governor of Pennsylvania. Maybe he doesn't want to be in the cabinet. We'll see. I mean, he's the head of an entire state, and it helps him maybe in future more national politics. We'll go for. So it seems like everybody's big on this. Jules T says Shapiro's fake Obama cadence was cringe. I do wonder if it's always been that way, if it just popped up, I don't know, in a year or two, or if it's something that he kind of started working with. I assume he worked somewhat with Obama, so there's some, I guess, reasons behind it that he can give. We'll see. Oh, what's happening? H. Ellis says, Walz is the best. Boo-hoo Jank. Oh, what did Jank say? What did Jank say about Walz? I assume Jank either wanted, actually, I can't figure who I would guess. I guess Shapiro because of Pennsylvania, but then there's the Minnesota state you have to pick up. It doesn't always automatically mean just because, you go after the guy from the state that, or you don't go for the guy from that state that you can't pick up Pennsylvania. There's this weird political thing. Oh man, she didn't pick the guy from Pennsylvania, so that means Pennsylvania's lost. What? Why? He's still gonna be working. Jules tells me that Jake wanted Shapiro. Yeah, a lot of people wanted Shapiro. We'll see. We'll see. I should get on a show with Jake and see what he has to say, because I haven't talked to him specifically about these things in a minute. So he was on Walz. For a minute, I was on Buttigieg. I liked what he was doing on Fox News, but I see Walz as a good one. Everyone slept on Andy. He's a great candidate. That's what Dragon Pool says. Jake wrote an op-ed about, I saw the op-ed. That was a bit dramatic, wasn't it? I mean, the response to it. All I saw was a lot of people getting really mad at Jake. Doesn't it always happen? People have been getting mad at Jake since like 2002 when we started this whole thing. So yeah, it's Jake's used to people getting mad at him, and he'll say the things he says. And by the way, Jake will listen to what people have to say, even though if he disagrees or has a different approach or something, and he knows he's vehement about that point. Jake is a big, like, it's definite. But he'll still hear what you have to say, even if he disagrees with it. Now you're gonna write it, push it out of pocket. But that's how he is. Jake wanted Walz, but thought that Shapiro had it. That's what Jason Wilburn tells me. I'll talk to Jake. We'll see what he was talking about. Maybe I'll shoot him a teasing text and say, huh? Ooh. I'll let you guys know how that goes. But for the meantime, it's Tim Walz. It is Kamala Harris. They're continuing on their campaign. I've been talking for long enough. I've got other work to do. It's a very busy day out here. I appreciate you guys who let me know how bad my internet is. I already knew. It's going to change soon. Changes are coming. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later. I appreciate you guys. Harris, Walz. We'll see where this goes.